today. Good morning, everybody, and welcome into our sanctuary again for another wonderful beginning of a week. And here we are together, all our family and friends tuning in. And for those of you who are coming in on this morning for the first time, you're so very welcome. We trust you'll stay with us, and then if you benefit from what you have experienced, perhaps revisit us again. So let us begin this beautiful day, this beautiful week, with centering ourselves in the awareness of the greater aspect of our being and all being. For isn't that the whole purpose of life? To know who we are and what we are and how we came to be. So the way we do it here is to practice the breath, the spiritual breathing process that takes us really out of the outer world into that inner depth so that you and I can know and be. So join me now with a deep breath. And as we breathe in, we know we're breathing in more than air, certainly. We're breathing in life itself, and that life is the life of the creative force in the universe. And as we breathe it in, it's a blessing, and as we breathe it out, it's a blessing. And so in this sense of that wholeness of breath, that fullness of being, this is what each one of us can know, that right here and right now, exactly as everything is, exactly as I am, there is a beautiful open receptivity within me to pour through the full essence of my being, which is grace itself. And it's a blessing. And when I am consciously aware that I am that portal to the grace of Spirit, and I consciously let it flow through me as that blessing, rivers of grace flowing out from me, covering the world and all of creation, and aiding life to be the best of itself, to be the wholeness of itself, to be the fullness of itself, its love-filled self. Can you imagine that streaming grace moving through you the conduit of it? And that's why we're here, simply to be the conduit of life, of blessing, of love, of light, of all that is good and whole and wholesome. That's who and what each one of us is. A channel, a potent point of power and light, a channel of grace. And that's what I'm knowing for myself and each and every one on this planet and for all life. There is only the one life. That life is God life. That life is whole life. That life is amazingly, awesomely, exactly the way it's supposed to be in you, in me, in all of its aspects. If you and I acknowledge it, receive it, and then send it out, we're doing what we're here to do, and we're being what we're here to be. That's the blessing of today. That's what I'm knowing. I send it out into the cosmos and beyond, knowing it's already responded to, and life has risen up as a result of that awareness and knowing. And so we know that as we send out, it returns to us, and we know that what we acknowledge is done unto us, and we say then, and so it is. And so it is that Reverend Katherine is coming now to inform, oh no, it's Maureen, her beautiful daughter, is coming here to let us know what's going on.
The other McKinney.
Yes, the other McKinney.
Thank you for signing on to our Sunday morning service, and a special welcome for those here for the first time. As you can see, our church is open even though our building is closed. We are eager to reach out beyond our YouTube channel. We regularly communicate with friends directly through email and our e-newsletters, and Dr. Moira sends out prayers and videos on YouTube. This is what we are offering for this coming week. Tea and Chat with Dr. Moira is back tomorrow, Monday, November 30th, after a holiday break, at 3 p.m. as a Zoom meeting. Check with the office to get the newest meeting number or link if you need it. The Power of Decision book study continues Wednesday, December 2nd at 9:45 a.m. It is also a Zoom meeting. The book is shared on screen, so you don't need a personal copy. It is a lively gathering, so please join us on Zoom. Also, on Wednesday, December 2nd at 11 a.m., service returns. Come to this service on our YouTube channel. Friday, December 4th, the Labyrinth is happening in Wilson Park from 1 to 3 p.m. There's a guided meditation by Kathy Wolfram. The location is near the treehouse. So please bring a blanket or chair for comfort. Next, we have a video from Jan Mintz. She and Dave have chaired the Angel Tree Project for several years, and obviously this year is quite different, so let's hear from Jan.
Happy Sunday, Redondo Beach Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Jan Mintz, and I'm calling all angels. Hurry, hurry, hurry! You are wanted and needed to help us bring some much-needed cheer to 40 local families experiencing financial challenges this holiday season. The Angel Tree Project is our center's huge annual event where we are called on to be the compassionate conduits for spirit in action. You loving angels generously fulfill the wishes of over 120 children each year, some of whom are in hospice care. We know we can count on you again this year, even though the event looks much different. We are collecting cash donations that would be used to buy gift cards to be distributed by our partnering agencies to those most in need. As rewarding as it is to buy a bike or a dollhouse or a learning tablet for a child, this year the need is for the basics: food, cleaning supplies, baby items, shoes and clothing for kids, and hopefully a small gift from Santa that parents can choose. We are nearing the end of our fund drive, so it's vitally important that you get your donations in ASAP. We need to conclude in less than 2 weeks, so if you're donating by check, get it in now because the mail service is a bit iffy these days. Or simply call the office during business hours to donate by credit card. Be sure in both cases to indicate that you're making your donation to Angel Project. No donation is too small. Maybe like me, you're used to dropping a few bucks in the red kettle each time you go grocery shopping at Christmas time. Well, Santa is safer at home right now, so think about sending those bucks to the Angel Project. All donations are tax deductible and they all add up. So come on, angels, let's move our feet and get that law of circulation going to share our abundance and love. Namaste.
Always contact the office for more information about anything. The contact info returns at the end of our announcements. But first, we remind you that there are several ways you can donate. We appreciate your virtual presence today, and we thank you so much for your messages and donations to our center. We are also reminding you that you can sign up for Amazon Smile, naming the center as a beneficiary. Thank you for doing that. In the last months of the year, we often think about giving gifts of money to our beloved center. We are inviting you to consider a special year-end donation. There may be special tax-saving benefits for you depending on your status. As a reminder, our spiritual center is physically closed, but we are keeping our virtual doors wide open as we highlight our contact information.
Dr. Moira's topic today is giving and receiving. You may have heard that giving and receiving are two sides of the same coin. I believe that giving and receiving is a circle because its actions depend upon one another. Yin and yang. The tide goes out and the tide comes back in. Giving is very important to me and to all of us here because it is part of being a prosperous being. I get to experience kindness and compassion as I give. And as I serve, I'm giving my time, and I get myself out of the way as I serve in that way. But today and in the next few moments, it's receiving that I'm talking about. I think that receiving is sometimes difficult for us. Is it our culture that makes it difficult for us to receive? I wonder. I don't need anything. Oh, no, you don't need to help me with that. I can manage all on my own. And maybe when someone gives us a compliment, we say, oh, this old thing, I picked it up at a yard sale. Or, I can't believe you're giving me a gift that's worth that much. Please take it back. I just can't take that. It's a very, very popular activity at teen camp. That's an activity called about giving and receiving. The activity works where there is a circle of people, maybe 300 people, that are divided into two parts. Group A stands around a big wide circle, and Group B stands in the middle of the circle. Now, Group B's instructions are to get in a place arm's length apart from the next person and close your eyes. The idea for Group B is that they are simply to receive. And then Group A leaves the outside of the circle and moves among the group, paying everyone compliments. Maybe giving a hug, maybe a shoulder rub. But Group B has to receive. They remain motionless and they simply receive. And after a period of time goes by, everyone goes back to the outer circle, and then Group A goes into the middle and it starts again. And what everyone agrees and recognizes is that the receiving is the hard part. And that is the way it is in our culture, and that is partly why it's useful for us to begin to exercise the practice of receiving. The reasons why are difficult to receive may be unknown. It may be difficult for us to figure out. But one way that we can tell for sure is how we feel when someone gives us something. Do we reflect? What do we feel like on the inside? So I invite you over this next week to just pay attention. When somebody pays you a compliment, when someone is especially nice to you, how do you feel on the inside? Is it a way to deflect? Is it a way to say, I don't deserve this? And take a look at that and figure out what you're able to do. It is equally important, whether we're caregivers and people who live in service, or all of us, to practice receiving. Because giving and receiving is a divine idea. What we have to give comes from the divine, and it's inexhaustible. And so as long as we connect with the divine, there's always plenty for us to give. There's a smile, there's a look, there is a helping hand. And receiving is equally important. It's important that we recognize those who are giving to us, as well as it is important for us to have that feeling of receiving. We're all connected. We're all around, bumping into each other as we go. Be there to offer a helping hand, and be there to receive a helping hand and enjoy that feeling. And now we are going to share in a video, You Cannot Lose My Love, and it is sung by Reverend Mary Morgan.
You will lose your baby teeth. At times you'll lose your faith in me. You will lose a lot of things, but you cannot lose my love. You will lose your appetite, your guiding sense of wrong and right. You may lose your will to fight, but you cannot lose my love. You will lose your confidence in times of strife, your common sense. You may lose your innocence, but you cannot lose my love. Many things can be misplaced, your very memories be erased. No matter what the time or space, you cannot lose my love. You cannot lose. You cannot lose. You cannot lose my
When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray.
And so, I'm in prayer now, taking myself out of the exterior world and all of its distractions, allowing myself to go inside. And inside is vast. It's where everything is in balance. Everything is in perfect flow, where I can truly be all that I am, and be in the presence of all that is, the great I am. And so I just breathe myself down, slow down. Allow my mind to come to rest, my body to come to stillness, my mind to open up alongside of my heart, to simply receive. Receive from the great self within me the ability to be that perfect balance between being an inlet and an outlet of grace. Love flows in, love flows out. Light flows in, light flows out. Life flows in, and life flows out. And all I have to be is simply be in the flow of it. Don't have to think anything, do anything, feel anything in particular. Just know I am in the flow, and the flow is in me, and the flow moves through me magnificently when all that I am is aligned and single in its awareness. And so in this state of flowing grace, grace coming in and grace going out, my intent is simply to bless, to bless, to bless the inside and the outside of life's experiences, and to know that in the outflow the blessing goes out. To lift up all in creation, all in material form, and to affirm its whole life, and to affirm its truth, and to feel it in being as a perfect, flowing organism of the life force of the Creator. To see it, perceive it as it is in truth, as it was in the beginning, is now, and as it ever will be. That perfect creation of the divine. And more and more and more as the evolutionary process moves, expands, morphs everything into more of itself, the more everyone in material form comes into that grace and ease with the true essence of being. That's what I'm perceiving, that's what I'm seeing, that's what I'm knowing, that's what I'm saying yes to, that's what I'm allowing myself to feel right now as an individualized expression of that one life form. And what I am knowing for myself as this individualized expression in form of the one, I'm knowing for all of life's expressions. Every person, place, thing, all of creation. The glory of itself fully alive in truth and fully flowing in perfect balance, in perfect being. Because what I know happens, what I intend and what I expect, I experience. That is the law of life, how the law of mind works, and how consciousness moves. So I take that deep breath, and I allow myself to be the outlet to the inlet of grace, being who and what I am meant to be. And I am grateful. I'm grateful for the essential gift and the most significant gift of all, life itself. I'm grateful to be a participant in the great organism that is the creative process. And I bless and I bless and I bless every single aspect of that process. And I call it, as it was called in the beginning, good and very good. So I release what I know into the creative law of mind, knowing it is responded to by being corresponded to, as I in deep faith and gratitude say, and so it is.
When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God.
And so, dear ones, here we are, Sunday again. My goodness, how quickly it does come around. And we've had a most beautiful, wonderful, long weekend, steeped in that understanding and that awareness of deep gratitude. And I do believe that this particular Thanksgiving, we really have grasped the meaning of what it is to be grateful, most especially for the greatest of all gifts, life itself. For we are in those times when we have truly learned how fragile life is on this plane. And so, having completed our celebrations of Thanksgiving and gratitude, we will take them into the next month of comfort and joy. Having completed this month wherein our focus was on being compassionate conduits, we will take that concept with us too into the season of comfort and joy. For we don't just do that for a day or a month or a year. We can't do what we are forever. Conduits of life and light and love and peace and beauty and power and joy and compassion and goodness and kindness and wisdom and understanding and grace. That's what we always are. But we're delighted to have milestones that call us deeper into the recognition of it. And so we'll take that with us into the next wonderful spiritual season unfolding. But today we're looking at this thing called giving and receiving, which is a process that we're all engaged in, at whatever level we're engaged in. And of course, as Reverend Katherine was saying, it is a circular thing. How can there be a giver without a receiver? And how can there be a receiver without a giver? It's impossible. So the two are complementary unto each other and are necessary for the action to be complete. So in a sense, you could say the infinite is as much dependent upon you and I receiving as we are depending upon receiving too. So we're in the process then of understanding more fully what that is. Now listen, I don't have to talk to you about giving because since we were knee-high to a grasshopper, it's been drummed into us that what we must do is give. Since we were knee-high, we were taught how to give, how to share. First thing you learn is now share, give. And so we've had that process. Indeed, the scriptures are full of it too. We are told that, God loves a cheerful giver, that when you do give with good will, good cheer, and that the first law of reciprocity is give, give and it shall be given unto you. And in all things, of course, give thanks. Those are two great things that the scriptures point out. But you know what? I think that the writers of the scriptures forgot to give as the same emphasis to receiving, really. I don't see the same emphasis on receiving, and receiving is the conclusion of the action to bring it into a full circle. And receiving is something that so many of us are challenged by. I would really take the chance of saying that most of us who are on a spiritual path know how to give and give very well. But not all of us know how to receive and receive very well. Indeed not. Now, I was pondering, why would that be? Why would that be? And Reverend Katherine pointed out very good examples on the exterior aspect of life in the outer world. But for me, what was coming up as I was thinking about this into the wee hours, really and truly think back. I have to go back a little bit into history. Think back. That so many of us were raised with a dogmatic religious point of view that told us we were born as sinners. We were born into sin. And that sin had to be redeemed. And that sin had to be redeemed at a horrible price. And not only that, if we didn't get ourselves redeemed, we'd have a most miserable, terrible, horrific hereafter. Now that children learned at a very, very early age. So already you could see the opportunity there for shame and guilt and fear to enter in. Because not only were we in that energy, and not necessarily in our homes, but in general in any kind of a community, a spiritual community that had that teaching. You were exposed to it greatly as a small child. And even I was in a bus one day and I heard a mother say to a child, now listen, if you keep that up, Holy God won't love you. And even as a child, I thought, well, that's not right to say to a child, because we were always taught that Holy God loved us. Well, how can Holy God love you one day and condemn you to hell the next? You see, it was a bit of a dilemma for me all through that period of childhood. Never made sense. And so if you think about that, you have that sense of already fear, shame, and guilt entering into a very small child, compounded then by all the other negative messages that we have received throughout our entire life. Is it any wonder we don't have the worthiness to receive? Because from a very early age, we've learned we're unworthy. We said it every time we went to some of our rituals. We thumped our breasts and said, Lord, I am not worthy, I am not worthy, I am not worthy. How could you possibly then feel worthy to receive? Came to me very clearly in the wee hours of the morning. And I thought, if there's any residual of that kind of thinking in any one of us, it needs to be dug up, even if it is as difficult as digging up oxalis. And if anybody is gardening, they know what oxalis is. Very difficult to rid a garden of oxalis, although I love the tenacity of oxalis. I wish I had it, I must say. No matter how it gets whacked, it comes up again. So, my dear ones, if there's any residue of that, because let us get it straight once and for all. This thing we call God had nothing to do with that kind of ideology. That is not the divine plan, the divine design for each and every one of us. If you want to think of this thing called God, this thing called life, this thing called presence, just think in terms of life and light and love. That's all. I have come that you may have life and have it in abundance. I have come that your joy may be complete. I have come that you may know the peace that passes understanding. That's the message. The rest is not the truth. And if any of it still resides within us, we do need to work on relieving ourselves of any of that nonsensical, negative untruth. God is love, and we who live in love, love lives in us. God is love, and we who abide in love, abide in God, and God abides in each one of us, the scripture says. So that's probably one of the reasons, the big reason, why you and I are not so hotsy-totsy when it comes to receiving. Because we have imbibed that understanding of not being worthy, many of us. many of us. Well, I'm here today to say you were born in a state of original wholeness. You were born entitled to life and light and love and peace and beauty and power and joy and wisdom and knowledge and understanding and goodness and kindness and compassion. That's what you were born into. You came from that. As that, to be an expression of that, no less than that. So, for a long time, I refused to say, Lord, I am not worthy to receive you. I turned it around and I said, for a long time, Lord, you have made me worthy to receive you. You have said the word, and my soul is healed. I had turned that around a long time before I realized something else. You have been made worthy. Worthy is your name. Worthy is your state. Worthy is your blessing, your birthright, and your grace. So the next time you have a hard time with receiving something, remember that and be gracious and complete the circle of giving and receiving graciously. It's the divine thing to do. It is the divine thing to do. That is why you and I were created. We were created so that the divine could give itself into all of its creation, pour itself into all of its creation for creation to receive. And then to do likewise. For each one of us, you and for me, to go out there and pour out into creation that beautiful grace, which is all that you might imagine of that which is whole and wholesome, complete and beautiful and amazing, and I cannot find enough words to describe what it is. It's indescribable. And you are its conduit, and so am I. Now, it's not for you and for me to judge how anybody else is doing with it at all, because we're all in our own experience for whatever reason. We're all where we are consciously being. And so, as Jesus would say, for heaven's sakes, stop looking and being fascinated by the speck in your neighbor's eye when there's a great big hulking log protruding from your own. That's what he would say. There's a lot of common sense things that Jesus would say if he was standing in front of us right now, or any of the great ones who had achieved what my mother said was very rare, common sense. She always said it wasn't very common. So cheer up, everybody, and know you can rent your garments of guilt and shame and unworthiness or whatever else goes with that. Be done with it. Stand up straight and know by Jiminy Crickets, I am the place where God shows up. I am the conduit of all that is whole and wholesome and divine. And I can because I am that which I am. Does that make sense? It will. If it doesn't now, it will. But pour your attention unto yourself. Pour your attention unto yourself. Look at yourself. Examine yourself. See if you even know yourself. And be delighted about it. Not, oh God, do I have to do this? Oh, don't want to do that. I'm not very happy with myself just now. So why would I do that? Just give myself more opportunity to feel miserable. Do it anyway. Because none of that is what you are. And if you could just get through all the debris that floats on top of life in the outer world, and know that below all of that there's amazing treasure and beauteous light, you'd be astounded at discovering who and what you are. Astounded. Now, it may not hold in the outer world for too long, but once you've had one tiny little lick of that, there's no denying the experience. And what you've experienced once, you can experience over and over and over and over again. And each time you experience it, it becomes easier. Each time you experience, the length of time extends itself. You are so well worthwhile looking at, getting in the inside of, examining, picking the components apart and looking at your life and why it is the way it is just now. And that's not even the question you'll ask. You'll get to know why your life is the way it is right now once you do that. Just give yourself time, energy, effort. Give yourself the same kind of consideration you would give any person, especially loved ones. Start doing the same for yourself and see how, my goodness me, life will just throw open magical doors through which you will walk and discover how sweet it is to live and move and have your being in something greater than yourself. It's all before us, my dears. It's for everybody to realize, and it doesn't matter what our status is, what our condition is, what our experience have been. That's a whole load of human egoic construct, this level of, gradation of people, higher class, middle class, lower class. There was a time when there were actually untouchables and so on and so forth. The greatest load of rubbish you could imagine, all of that. Basura. So let's come into our own, into ourselves. Because all of creation, if there were angelic hosts, as some of us imagine with their wings and all the rest of it, they'd be all circling around us, just hovering, waiting for us to wake up. And then you would hear such a flurry of angel wings tipping themselves to you because you gave yourself to yourself. The greatest of all gifts that you could give, but more than that, you received yourself. You received yourself. And you put away the rags, and you put away the shame, and you put away the guilt, and you donned the royal garments, and the rings, and the sandals on your feet. And you stood up, the sovereign being that you're created to be. That's not just wishful thinking. That's a very, very, very possibility for you and for me. So I'm going to leave you with knowing yourself, honoring yourself, loving yourself, appreciating yourself, because God dwells in you as you. And so it is, and so indeed it is. And now Reverend Katherine's going to share something with us.
This is the time in our service where we honor our mission statement, which is to honor your presence, to nurture your spirit, and to enrich the lives of all we serve. And we do that by sharing with you messages that we receive from our members and friends. And this is one. I so appreciate the classes on Zoom. I live alone, and I look forward to seeing the friendly faces and to knowing that I hear words of wisdom, both from my teachers, but also from my classmates. I do love it. Thank you for creating these experiences.
How lovely. We're delighted to hear that because, we're doing the best that we can at the moment, and we'll get even better at doing it, of reaching out in so many ways as we possibly can. But remember, we're ready here and willing to give. And we're trusting that enough of us out there are willing to receive. Please participate. Please be engaged. Please be involved. Please be part of it all, because you're part of a beautiful and wonderful thing. And right now, we're going to have our concluding prayer, and you're going to see it on the screen, and we're going to pray it together. And we're offering this up for peace on earth and goodwill to all after we do our little celebrating of our prosperity and abundance. And if you know that life is willing to provide you with fullness and plenty, you will always have it. But you must be willing to receive it. And the first step of that is to absolutely know for certain sure that life wants to bring to you fullness and plenty. And then, in deep gratitude for knowing that, you take from your daily bread whatever you can, whatever little piece or big piece you can, and you share it. That's the way it works. Truly it does. So let's take our gift between our giving hands and blessing hands and say, divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, to bless, to prosper all who give and all who receive. I rejoice in the sharing of my good, and I release my gift with love. And so it is. And so indeed it is. And now we're going to do the blessing together for peace amongst us all, for healing of all kinds in our world and amongst people, and for a wonderful vaccine that works immediately and helps us all to release this thing called COVID-19. And so we pray. I know divine love enfolds me. Divine light leads me. Divine life lives in me. Divine wisdom inspires me. Divine compassion expresses through me, and divine power protects me. All that I am is Spirit's life in expression. It is good and very good. With deep joy and generosity filling me, I go forward now in sacred service, supporting a compassionate world that works for all. I move through my days with grace and ease, in peace and love, in health and wellness, in fullness and plenty, and in loving relationship with all. What I now know for myself, with blessing and in deep gratitude, I know for all life. There's only God. There is only God. There is only God, by means of you, by means of me, and all of its creation, giving and receiving. And so it is. So all that remains now, my dear ones, is to wish you well and to know for you a splendid week and a week full of giving and receiving joyously and the wonder of it all. And reach out to everybody, not just within our community, but from all over that tune in and spend their time with us. We're grateful to you all, and it's always a joy. And so, as you know by now, those of you watching, I like our farewell greeting to be a child's greeting, the way my wonderful grandniece and nephew always say goodbye. And so it is. Peace song.